Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, how a recent court ruling affects President Trump's sweeping global trade tariffs. Also, how advances in treatment are helping Arizonans diagnosed with a deadly form of skin cancer. And a massive effort is underway in Tempe to improve the quality and safety of city streets. Those stories and more next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your public television station.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Christina Estes, filling in for Ted Simons. The FBI says the man charged in the attack in Boulder, Colorado that injured 8 people told police he planned it for a year and said he would do it again. Mohammed Solomon reportedly confessed to the attack and said he specifically targeted what he called a Zionist group. A federal hate crime has been leveled against Solomon, along with 16 counts of attempted murder. He allegedly used a homemade flamethrower and threw a Molotov cocktail into a group that had gathered to draw attention to Israeli hostages in Gaza. The White House calls it a terrorist attack.
Violent terrorism, it's acts of terrorism in our country, and that's what this case in Boulder, Colorado is being investigated as. Kudos to our FBI director, Kash Patel, for immediately calling this a targeted terrorist attack. That's clearly what it was. And we know that this individual, this terrorist, was allowed into this country by the previous administration, was foolishly given a tourism visa, and then was illegally allowed to stay. These individuals are going to be deported, and we're not going to tolerate such violence in our country.
Ukraine's drone attack against Russian airfields hit 41 Russian aircraft, including bombers and surveillance planes. It's not yet clear how many were taken completely out of service. One expert says the attack will have a significant impact on the capacity of Russia's long-range aviation force. President Trump's global trade tariffs have been temporarily delayed. In a ruling last week, the U.S. Court of International Trade said an emergency law invoked by the White House did not give the president unilateral authority to impose tariffs. So what happens now? To take a closer look at the issue, we welcome Stephen Montoya, partner at Montoya, Lucero, and Pastor. Thanks for coming in.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, so what does this ruling mean?
It means that Trump is in for a long fight with his tariffs. The court, the International Trade Court, declared the tariffs unlawful on Wednesday of last week for a variety of reasons. First of all, it said that the law, if construed the way or interpreted the way the Trump administration was interpreting it, was too broad and delegated too much authority, an unconstitutional amount of authority, to the president. Remember, under the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, the power to tax, tariff is a tax, belongs to Congress and Congress alone, and the president cannot unilaterally create taxes in the form of tariffs on anyone unless a statute passed by Congress specifies the nature and the time and the amount of the particular tariff based upon a specific reason. Trump used the International Emergency Economic Powers Act to unilaterally impose tariffs upon countries all over the world, some that did not even trade with us. And he basically assumed unilateral control over imposing tariffs, and the court said that that was unlawful, and if understood in one perspective, if not declared contrary to the statute, would actually be unconstitutional.
The administration immediately appealed. A White House spokesperson said U.S. trade deficits with other countries constituted, quote, a national emergency that has decimated American communities, left our workers behind, and weakened our defense industrial base. Facts that the Trump administration says did not dispute.
That's not true. The court did specifically address that. I have the opinion right here. And here's what the court said to that. Another law called the Trade Act of 1974 specifically deals with unfair trade imbalances and creates a regime for handling those. And the court said if the president wanted to deal with trade imbalances, that the president had to do so under the 1974 law, which prescribes a specific procedural regime and time limits. The regime is you can only raise a tariff 15%, and you can only do it for 150 days. So for trade imbalances, the 1974 law was applicable rather than the emergency law of 1977.
So correct me if I'm wrong. I'm
Sure.
not the lawyer, and the tariffs issue is difficult to follow day by day. But my
For anyone.
understanding is there are still tariffs on vehicles, steel. Is that correct? And if so, why?
Well, because there is another trade law that authorizes the president to impose tariffs on steel and aluminum, both in their raw form and in their manufactured form, if it's undermining the American steel and aluminum industry, rather in their raw form, like U.S. Steel, or, for example, General Motors. And that's what the president has done. And this decision doesn't impact those.
There are other court cases involving tariffs. What's the status?
Well, in the status of one important one out of the District of Columbia concluded with the trade court that the across-the-board tariffs were unconstitutional and unlawful.
So the president's spokesperson, the Commerce Secretary, I believe it was, said yesterday, tariffs aren't going away, president's going to win this. How is this going to end up? Is this just going to have to be decided with the Supreme Court or what?
I think it is, and I think he's going to lose it, and I'll tell you why. The conservative wing of the Republican Party, the free trade wing of the Republican Party, brought this lawsuit. And the Democrats or the liberals joined the lawsuit. So now the president is confronting the conservatives and the liberals and some of the most conservative individuals you can imagine that really align themselves with the conservative justices on the Supreme Court. For example, Justice Thomas, Justice Alito. This is that same group of lawyers, that same group of individuals that are pushing to overturn this law. Republicans have traditionally disdained and opposed tariffs. So, and the liberals don't like them either. So I think, and plus, I don't think the president has this broad of power. The president has basically taken unto himself the power to impose tariffs across the board for any reason, at any amount, for any length of time. And the president does not have that power under law. I think he's going to lose. But there are plenty of other laws that he can lawfully use that they're already starting to threaten to use. So I do agree there are going to continue to be tariffs, just not this broad.
It sounds like this is a topic we will be discussing again and again. Stephen Montoya, thank you so much for coming in. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thinking about the future is something we all share. By preparing an estate plan, you're safeguarding more than just matters of finances and inheritance. You're also guiding future health decisions, providing for loved ones, and creating your legacy. Estate plans help you protect the things that matter most. Put your mind at ease by planning your future today.
Join us for 50 years with Peter, Paul, and Mary.
If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning.
It's an anniversary special featuring America's favorite folk group.
The answer, my friend.
Singing the songs that changed history and became the soundtrack of our lives. 50 years with Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Tuesday night at 8:30 on Arizona PBS.
Melanoma accounts for only about 1% of skin cancers, but causes the majority of skin cancer deaths. New data show melanoma death rates significantly declined from 2013 to 2022. Here to tell us how advances in treatment are making a big difference is Dr. Mark Gimbel, surgical oncologist at Banner MD Anderson Cancer Center. I know you have a lot more titles to your name, but we're going to keep it at that for now.
That's perfect.
Hey, so let's talk about some of these treatments. Can we run through? I know surgery is one. How is that helping?
Sure. So with melanoma, obviously the goal is to identify it early, because if you can identify it early, it's 100% cure. And so the way to cure it is first to be screened. If you get the screening done and your dermatologist finds something, have it removed, and if it gets taken off, great, you're done. The problem is when melanoma progresses beyond that early stage, when an excision or a surgical resection is not enough. And that's where we saw a lot of the deaths from melanoma as it progressed, because there were no good treatments for melanoma. People historically would die once they had melanoma that spread to the lymph nodes and spread beyond. Only recently, within the past 10 years, the treatments have progressed so much that we're now seeing people with widespread cancer who are being cured.
So you mentioned if your doctor notices something, make sure that it gets checked out. Who is most at risk, and what is it we should be looking for?
Sure. So living in Arizona, we're all at risk for being under the sun. The sun causes over 95% of all melanomas. Ultraviolet radiation does. That could be mostly from the sun, but also from tanning beds. So we need to limit the amount of ultraviolet radiation you're getting. So prevention is the first key. Sunscreen, clothing, staying out of the sun at the high points of the day. That's the most important thing.
And high points of the day are?
Between 10 and 2 typically. So if you're a swimmer, you don't want to be in the pool at that time. Try to go after 2, a little bit later in the day or earlier in the morning when the sun isn't as strong.
And when you say sunscreen, I often hear reapply every X hours, and how much? Can you help us out with that?
Yeah, so we recommend sunscreen to use at least an SPF of 30. Beyond that, you do get incremental benefit, but that benefit is small. We want a broad spectrum sunscreen using both protection for UVA, UVB radiation, and C as well. You want to be applying it every 2 hours. And it's not just spraying and going away. You have to get a good base amount into the skin so it gets absorbed, and that protects you. The problem is when people go outside, what do? They sweat. And when they sweat, they wipe their suns down and they wipe the sunscreen off. So that's why it needs to be reapplied. Recommend every 2 hours or so.
Should it be like the very first thing you put on your skin if you put moisturizer on or makeup? Like, should it be sunscreen first or last?
Well, we always like to have that first because that's how the skin is going to absorb it. There are actually a lot of makeups that do have sunscreen built into that as well. So that could be a combination as well where you could put it together so you don't have to have 1 or 2 different things on your skin.
Thank you for letting me veer off a little bit. Let's get back to the advanced treatments because it's very exciting. Immunotherapy, what does that mean and how is that working?
So as I told you earlier that when melanoma had already spread, it was lethal. But we found ways to actually utilize your immune system to go after cancer cells. Typically, the immune system doesn't recognize cancer as foreign. It's your own body growing out of control, and your body doesn't see it as foreign, so the cancer can continue to grow. However, with this newer class of medication called immunotherapy, it takes the brakes off the immune system, so now your immune cells can recognize cancer and go after attack cancer cells. And not only does it attack the cancer cells, but it can make memory to the cancer, where if it's spread throughout your body and you respond to it, you can have cure from even if it is spread throughout.
Is that different than targeted therapies?
So the other ways to treat cancer in its more advanced forms is chemotherapy. And chemotherapy is essentially a poison, if you will, that you put throughout your entire body. You kill good cells and bad cells, but hopefully preferentially kill the bad cells. Targeted therapy means when you have a cancer, there are certain proteins on the wall of the cancer cell. And you can recognize those proteins, and you can there's drugs that can now recognize those proteins. And so that can identify the cancer cell alone, leaving your normal cells behind and only target the cancer cells. So that's what targeted therapy means. And immunotherapy means activating your immune system to go after cancer cells.
All of this sounds like incredibly positive news, and I don't know if it's me being Debbie Downer or what, but sometimes I think when we talk about, such great advancements have been made, that maybe people get a little comfortable and think that it's not necessarily as dangerous as it is. Do you see that, or are you very optimistic and just glad that these advanced treatments are working? And
yeah, melanoma is a scary diagnosis. I haven't seen where people are comfortable with that diagnosis at any point, even at the early stage or the later stage, because of how lethal it can be. Not everybody is going to respond to treatment. A good proportion will, but it is not something that you should take lightly. You want to get that identified early. If you have spots that are changing or dark, get it identified, because the earlier you can identify it, the better your outcomes are going to be. So nobody should feel comfortable with the diagnosis of melanoma.
And wear that sunscreen. Every 2 hours reapply.
Absolutely.
Dr. Mark Gimbel, thank you so much. Really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you for having me.
I'm Amna Navaz. Tonight on the NewsHour, the latest on the attack on a Jewish group in Boulder, Colorado. That's coming up at 6 on Arizona PBS.
A massive project is underway to improve the quality and safety of streets in Tempe. One key aspect involves restoring the pavement of every street to excellent condition. To learn more, we welcome Eric Iverson, Transportation Manager for Tempe. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Hey, it sounds very ambitious to try to get every street in excellent condition, and I think your deadline is 4 years.
Correct.
How are you going to do that?
Yeah, we are very excited about this, and we are ambitious about the goal in 4 years. 2028 is our goal to get this done. It's really about 92% of our streets in Tempe. We have 1,200 miles of roadway in our city, so about 90% of those are going to be resurfaced in some way, repaved in some ways, sometimes just a simple top coat to the street to apply it, to really bring it up to a really good, usable condition for all of our users. So anyone, walking, biking, driving, taking the bus on our streets will benefit from this. We were happy to see that our voters had prioritized this over the last many years and wanting to have our roadways really reflect the quality of the community that we know we are. And so in the fall of last fall, 2024, the voters passed an initiative to fund this and really accelerate the improvements in that roadway system. So it is an ambitious undertaking. That's something that we definitely feel like we can do.
So whenever somebody hears about streets being fixed up, the first question is often, what about mine? When is mine going to get fixed up? So how do you determine which streets to tackle first?
Yeah, in general, we have every street has a score, what we call the Pavement Quality Index. And so with those, we take really the worst streets, the worst rating. So it's on a scale of like 0 to 100. We're trying to get all the streets up to above an 82 score in that PQI. So the lower your street is, the first kind of prioritization that it will receive. So the worst streets are being done first.
And there's a way for people to find out, right, which streets are being...
Correct, yeah. We have a really active database, website, with our PQI and pavement management program that people can access on our city website.
And it's not just focusing on the pavement, but also making some other safety improvements. Can you give me an example of what that might mean?
Yeah, so when we touch a road, we really try to we work with a variety of our departments, from our public safety to our traffic engineers, our city planners, our community development department, and really look at all the different users that are on that road. And so we are a city that's landlocked. We're 40 square miles. We have highest percentage of bike ridership in the region, highest per capita transit ridership in the state. And so all the different users of our road are important. We want to make sure that when we're touching that street, repaving it, if there's an improvement to the bike lane, improvement to the transit access, it's something that we can add in there, right? So we look at adding buffered bike lanes, making the bike lanes a little bit safer when we repave that road. But of course, just having a good general paving quality on that street is going to make it better for all users.
Photo enforcement cameras went live at 14 intersections in May. Citations are going to start being issued when?
June 5th is when the citations start for the photo enforcement. We have 14 intersections that have the cameras up. And so, yeah, we've had a 1 month trial period and kind of educational period. And then the end of this week is when we start with the citations.
What exactly do the cameras capture? Is it speed? Is it red light runners?
It's both, yeah. So it's slow down and don't run the red. Is really the message. And this is really tied in with the safety that we're trying to do on our roadways across the city. It's been really important to us, as we do have a strong multimodal city, that all users of the roadway are safe. So we have had initiatives to make sure that people are following the speed limit. The photo radar is going to help be one more tool for us to make sure that happens.
How will the citations be issued, or where can people find out sort of how that process works? Because, before there were cities that had this and there was some controversy and who gets tickets and how and that sort of thing. So do you have a website that's got details?
Yeah, we do. It's again on their tempe.gov website, photo enforcement. It has all the information on what happens if you get a citation. There's a fact page, basically, and then where the location of the cameras are and all the other pieces of information.
What are you most excited about? Because this is such a, I mean, we use the word massive, but it really is a massive undertaking.
I'm excited about the fact that we are going to have roadways that really reflect the quality and the character of our city. Again, we are really trying to make these roadways, all our roadways, multimodal and access to everyone, biking, walking, if you're in a wheelchair, and drivers, of course. So really excited about that, the quality of our roadways. We're adding street trees where we can too. So adding that aesthetic improvement, that urban cooling improvement, and then finally, really making them safer. So we want the photo enforcement going hand in hand with the pavement is a way for us to make our streets safer. We have a Vision Zero policy at the city that was adopted in 2019 to reduce our serious crashes and fatalities down to zero. We think that photo enforcement is a tool, another tool for us to get to that zero fatalities.
And we've covered a lot. So again, it's tempe.gov. Mm-hmm. Get the info. All right, Eric. Ooh, you got a busy 4 years ahead.
Yes, we do. We do. Thank you.
Thank you for making time to come in. We appreciate it. And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Christina Estes, in for Ted Simons. I hope you have a great night.